Hello and welcome to a short instructional video on how to make a model of Thor's hammer using SolidWorks that you can then go and 3D print. The first things that you'll need are a computer that has SolidWorks, and in order to get SolidWorks I've included a link in the description to CCIT's website where you can find instructions on how to download SolidWorks from them. This is the website right here. You'll just follow these instructions and then you'll have SolidWorks and then you'll be good to go. So once you get SolidWorks up and running, it'll look a little bit like this. The first thing that you're going to need to do, once you get SolidWorks open, or the first thing that we're going to do, is we're going to start by opening a new part. Now that we've got a new part open, we're going to start by making the top of Thor's hammer. So up here at the top, we've got a Features tab and a Sketch tab. This is really all that we're going to need. So we're going to go to the Sketch tab, and we're going to start a new sketch. And then we can select any of the planes to start off with, but we're going to start with the front plane. So Thor's hammer, top of it's a rectangle. So we're going to start off by using the rectangular tool. We're going to click it up here. If yours is a little bit different than this rectangle with 2 points, you might have to click the drop down, but we're going to use the corner rectangle tool. So we're going to start off by clicking this little orange dot here in the middle, the origin, and we're just going to drag it out, and we're going to have a rectangle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Smart Dimension tool up here in the top left corner, and we're going to click that. We're going to start giving our part some dimensions. So we're going to start off by making this 0.75 inches. It'll resize the image accordingly, and then we're actually going to start off by making like the front face. So we're actually going to make it a square. So this will also be 0.75. So then we're going to go to the Features tab, and then from the Features tab we're going to select Extruded Boss or Base so that we can actually make this a 3D part. Now over here, for the type of extruded boss base, we're going to select this blind drop down, and we're actually going to select a midplane. And then we're going to make this an actual reasonable size for Thor's hammer. And what I've found is that if you take the original dimension, the 0.75 inches, and you multiply that by 1.63, that it gives you a relatively accurate size. And we're just going to hit the green check mark, and then we're going to be moving on. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to knock off all these edges, and to do that we're going to go over to this fillet drop down, and we're going to select chamfer. And then once we've selected chamfer, we're going to select these two faces. They'll turn blue. And then we're going to rotate our part. And to do this, we're going to click our scroll wheel, and we're just going to move our mouse to the left. And then we're going to click these other two faces. Now, once we've selected these two faces, we can go over here to the chamfer options. And we're actually going to change this distance to 0.1 units, which will become 0.1 inches, and we're going to do it at 45 degrees. And then we're just going to hit OK. So now we've got this little block that is Thor's hammer. So now we're going to go up here to the View Orientation, drop down, and we're going to select this isometric view. Now to zoom out, we use the scroll wheel as well, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start making our handle. Now to make our handle, we're going to need to select one of these planes. So we're going to select whichever plane goes through the middle of this face right here. So our front plane is going to be the one that we want. The top plane is on the bottom face and the right plane is on that right side, but we want the front plane because it's in the middle of this face. So now we're going to start another sketch, and then we're going to go up to our view orientation thing, and we're going to select this side so that we're looking straight on it, and then we're going to zoom out. Now to make the hilt, we're going to start off by just drawing a line. We're going to hover over this top edge, and we're going to select this little dot, this little yellow dot that'll turn orange, and then we're going to draw a line straight up. This little dot right here is actually used to denote that this is the midpoint of this line. So we're going to do that. We're going to draw a line over, down, back towards the middle, all the way down, and then over to this midpoint to complete our little shape. Now we're going to start smart dimensioning it. So the first thing is the length of the handle. We're going to make this 1.5 inches. And then we need to zoom out a little bit more. This is going to be our hilt. The hilt is going to go down by 0.3 inches. This little spot here is going to be 0.04 inches. This distance is already defined by this and this, so we're going to select this face and this face, or these two lines, so that we can get our last dimension in here. And this is going to be 0.04, or no, this is going to be 0.2 inches, or not 0.2. The diameter is 0.2, so this is going to be 0.1 inches because it's going to be a radius. So now that we've got this shape, we're going to click the OK button, and we're going to go over to our features button, and then we're going to select the revolved bosser base. And once we've done that, we're going to select our axis of rotation for this revolved bosser base, and that's going to be this center line that we drew straight up. Once we select that, it'll go ahead and make our little shape around it. And then we're going to hit OK again. So now we're pretty much done. We just got a couple more fillets to add. So we're going to go up here to our fillet tool. We're going to select it. We're going to select this top edge of the cylinder. Now for this one, we're going to do a symmetric fillet with a distance measurement, or a radius measurement of 0.05 inches. And then we're just going to hit OK again. So it's starting to look like we're almost done, which we are. So now the next thing we do is we're going to add another fillet. It's going to go right here on this bottom edge. Now this one's a little bit trickier to do because we're not going to do a symmetric fillet. Didn't actually want to let me do the asymmetric fillet there, so we're just going to close it out and reopen it. So now it's giving me the asymmetric fillet option. So we're going to select that, and then we're just going to see if we can, so when we flip this, it'll give us our little yellow thing. So what we actually want to do is we want this top one, we want it to be 0.03, and this other one, radius, to be 0.22 inches. And then we're going to hit OK. And then that's our hammer right there. That's our hammer right there. And if we want to, we can actually add another circle to this little face here, which we can also do Control 8 to orient ourselves normal to this face. And so now what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a circle. Doesn't matter how big. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to add some relations to this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this, and then we're going to click this origin. And then we're going to use the horizontal relation so that these 2 points are horizontal. Then we're going to try and select the center point of this line by hovering over it so that this shows up. Then we're going to click it, and then we're going to control click on this. And we're going to add the vertical. That's another thing to remember, is when you are adding the relations, you click one point and then you control click the other, and then you add the relation. So now we need to make this sized appropriately, so we can sort of click and drag this down so that we get about the right size, and then we can smart dimension it. Once we smart dimension it, we kind of see that this is going to be about 0.475. So we add that in, and then we just close out of it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Features tab and do our Extrude Bosser Base. And then we can sort of rotate to the side to see that this is way too far. So we're just going to make this 0.01. It might be too short. Yeah, it's about right. We'll make it 0.02. That'll give us a nice little feature there. And then that's our entire hammer, which that's kind of disorienting. So we're just going to go back to the isometric view. And now you kind of see here's our Thor's hammer. Now, in order to print this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to save it as an STL file. So we're going to go up here to the save as, and then you're just going to select a folder. You can name it whatever you want. We'll just save it as part 1. And then we'll go down here. We'll select the STL file type, and we'll hit save. This already exists because apparently I've used part 1 before. But we'll just hit yes to overwrite it. You'll see this little thing pop up telling you how many triangles it used to make this shape, and you'll just hit yes. So now you'll maybe want to go and 3D print this. And to 3D print this, all you have to do is take this STL file and take it to the makerspace. But in order to do that, you're going to have to go through the makerspace's certification process, which there's going to be a link in the description. It's this link right here. You'll click on it. It'll actually bring you to Canvas, which, as you can see, I'm already enrolled in the makerspace class. But when you go to the makerspace class on your Canvas, you'll go to the home page, and then you'll need to complete this general makerspace safety quiz and the waiver agreement. Once you've completed these 2 quizzes, then you'll go down here to the FDM 3D printer modules, and you'll read the Lulzbot 3D printer module, which will tell you how the 3D printers work and give you all the instructions on what you need to do to take that STL file and get it ready for printing. And then you'll need to take the FDM 3D printer quiz. Once you've printed that, you can then go to the makerspace and 3D print your Thor's hammer. And that is all. So once you go and 3D print it, you'll probably end up with something like this. We didn't include these spirals because when you actually go and 3D print it, if you're using the FDM 3D printers instead of the SLA printers, it'll have this layer height thing going on, and it'll actually give it a nice little textured feature as it goes up. So that's why we skipped over those spirals. And the spirals also aren't really part of the hammer. I just thought they looked cool the first time I did it. Well, that's all. Thanks for watching.